In a little over a year and a half, I've gone from no income and no social media following to making over $200,000 in profit from various business ideas and investments, and having over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and over 250,000 followers on TikTok. And in past videos, I've shared pretty openly that I believe the #1 secret to my success and my ability to have made it this far is just my obsession with investing into myself, with growing myself and educating myself along the way through the ridiculous amount of books I read every single day. I try to read, at this point, a book every single week. The fact is that most people just believe there must be some secret, extraordinary thing out there that allows people to succeed. They must have some sort of advantage, or they must have some sort of hidden knowledge. There's no way it's as simple as putting in the hard work to invest into yourself. But guess what? Most people don't end up achieving wild amounts of success. By definition, most people end up becoming average, which means if you think like everyone else, you're gonna also become average. And if you wanna achieve results that aren't average, then you need to go looking in places that most people don't go looking. Everything that's gonna make you successful or make you fail is all stored up here. I know it is so easy to believe in just the magic formula idea. I know it is so easy to believe that there's some unique thing that you need to have, that you need to go find outside of yourself that's gonna allow you to succeed, but that is just not a true, it's a myth and a lie that people tell themselves to confront, instead of confronting the harsh reality that being successful is as easy as controlling yourself, being disciplined, having strong willpower, building great and solid habits, not indulging in bad habits. Those things are not easy. Those things are not what average people do. Average people have bad habits. They have an extreme lack of discipline. They do not educate themselves. They do not grow themselves, and they almost never push themselves outside of their comfort zone. Average people like being in their comfort zone. They try to make their lives more comfortable, not less comfortable. They don't enjoy taking big risks. They want safety and security, and that's why they're average. And if you don't want to be average, you got to learn these things up front right now. And nobody else talks about this stuff because you can't sell it. No, you can't sell, if you want to be more successful, go do a ton more work, build better habits, educate yourself. Like, it's too simple. It's not like flashy enough. It's too difficult for people to do. And so what people end up selling online is all this easy stuff. They want the easy stuff. But I'm telling you, the easy stuff does not work. You need to invest in yourself first, even if you strike it lucky and one of these easy things actually takes off. You actually make $10 million. You are going to lose that money and put yourself in a really bad situation because you didn't have that firm foundation to build that success on. And success is a lot more than just having money. It's about having this responsible, disciplined mindset that allows you to achieve results no matter where you're at and what situation you're put in. So in this video, I'm gonna go over the top 10 books that helped me get to where I'm at. A lot of these things that I'm so passionate about, I learned from these books. So I'm gonna go through these books, what I learned from each book, why I liked them, and just kind of the gist of what they're about. First up is The Compound Effect, and I cannot recommend this book enough. It was an absolute game changer. It's all about how everyday habits that we form compound over time to shape our future self. So something as small as a little habit where maybe we have a bowl of ice cream every night. Well, that bowl of ice cream over a 1-day period isn't gonna do anything to impact our life, right? But over a 5 to 10-year period, that small bowl of ice cream can end up compounding out and absolutely destroying our life, where maybe we put on a little bit of extra weight, which makes us a little bit more tired, which makes us a little bit more lazy, which makes us put on even more weight, which makes us insecure, which makes us eat even more ice cream, which makes us put on even more weight, which makes us depressed, which spiral out of control over a multi-year period. And the same thing happens with our positive habits, where if we start to exercise, maybe we lose a little bit of weight, maybe that gives us confidence, maybe we push harder, maybe that makes us work out more, maybe we're less tired, so now we're more active with our kids, which makes us lose even more weight, and it slowly over the years compounds into something much bigger. And the goal of the book is to help you understand this effect so that you can then take advantage of it and then start compounding habits in the direction you want them to go and help shape who you want to become. Book number 2 is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I have a lot of friends who read books like me. They're really into reading a ton of books, and almost everyone that I know that has read this book book puts it like among the top books they've ever read. This book is a classic. It's been around for like, I don't know, like 70 years or something like that. And it has stayed around because it is so good at helping people manage how to work with other people. And it might sound like, oh, I don't need to know how to influence people and make friends. I have tons of friends. But this is a little bit more different than that. This book is all about people relationships and how to win people over to your side. And a general theme of the book is that people are focused on themselves. So when you go into a conversation and you try to tell them about all your accomplishments, all your different accolades and all the things you've done and all the things you're excited about, well, often you're doing that to try to impress that person. But in reality, you're doing almost the opposite, because in reality, all they want to do is tell you those very same things. So if you become the kind of person that genuinely enjoys listening to people, that genuinely enjoys asking questions and learning about other people, you are going to be one of the greatest conversationalists on the planet, because people just want to be known. People want to express themselves, and not a lot of people want to listen. Everyone else is shouting at their lungs, at the top of their lungs, trying to be heard. So becoming that type of person, especially in today's modern world, can be hugely beneficial as you're wanting to relate and communicate and connect with other people. And I'm not really doing this book justice. Like, there's so much more to this book than just that. It's definitely one you want to listen to. Number 3 is Crushing It by Gary Vee. And this book is the reason that I'm currently on YouTube. This is the reason you're watching this video, and the reason I'm on TikTok is because Gary Vee convinced me that social media needs to be an integral part of your strategy if you're trying to grow a business and you're trying to accumulate wealth. He calls it your new resume. And if you're trying to get a job or you're trying to start a business or whatever, you need to master social media, because today, more than ever, it is an important aspect of building a business. And for me, it's given me this massive platform that I can now launch a bunch of businesses off of. It's given me a ton of different relationships and all kinds of different things. And so if you're not convinced, just go listen to the book, listen to Gary Vee's passion on the subject. And I think by the end of the book, you'll be convinced that you need to be starting some sort of social media following of some sort to relate to your audience if you want to succeed and grow your business. Number 4 is Atomic Habits, and this one's sort of similar to the compound effect. The general idea behind this book is you need to be making 1% gains over time if you want to be successful at anything. In the book, it talks about this bike team, and they were like this losing bike team for years and years and years. I think it's like 50 years, or maybe they'd never won. I don't remember exactly what the story was, but it was like so embarrassing that like even, professional bike manufacturers didn't want this team riding on their bikes because they didn't want their reputation tarnished by having the worst team riding these bikes. And this new coach came in and he's like, we're gonna fix this. And they made these 1% improvements in a lot of small areas where they maybe made the bike a tiny bit more aerodynamic. Maybe they like shaved their heads. I don't remember what it was, but they did like things to their body to make it slightly more aerodynamic. Same thing with the clothes fitting tighter. Same thing with their training regimens, making it a little bit better. They made all these really tiny changes across the board to their entire regiment, where they went on to not only win the championship, but they went on to do it for like multiple years in a row after that. And all of it came from these super tiny, small changes. And the reality is that massive change is often difficult, but it's really easy to make small incremental 1% gains over time. And that's what that book's all about. It's making the small incremental changes over time and how that can revolutionize your life and your business. Number 5 is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And this was, again, all these books were game changers, but this book was definitely an eye-opener that I had no financial literacy whatsoever, and that I needed to be learning a lot of the concepts that were in this book. The general idea of this book is that most people, they'll go work a job, they'll take the money that they worked at that job, and then they'll go buy a boat, or they'll go buy a car, or they'll go buy whatever they want to buy that's like their toy that they get to play with, and that's how they live their life. They work for money, they spend the money on the things they want. But he says that's not how you build wealth. Instead, what you need to be doing is you work for money, you pay your bills, and then you take the money, instead of buying toys or things you don't need, you invest that money into assets. And then those assets pay for the things you want to do. So for example, a normal person, again, might go out and they might buy a fancy new car with all the money that they've earned. Well, he says instead of doing that, you invest in real estate, and then that real estate produces, $1,200 worth of cash flow per month. And then you take that $1,200 and then you go and you spend that on buying a new car once you've saved up, or you go and spend that on a nice dinner out or on your family vacation. That way you're not spending your earned income that you had to work for, but you're spending passive income that you didn't have to work for. And that allows you to accumulate wealth over time. And there's a lot more to the book than that. It's in general, all these ideas are in philosophies that I think most people who, never had this kind of stuff taught to them will find very enlightening and very helpful as they're trying to build wealth over time. Number 6 is extreme ownership. I did an entire video about this concept because it's just been so revolutionary in my life and in my journey. The general premise of the book is that you need to be taking responsibility for the circumstances of your life and stop blaming everyone else for your problems. If you got a cold or you got rear-ended or whatever happened in your life, obviously it's really easy to say, well, it's not my fault I got a cold, or it's not my fault that I got rear-ended, but maybe you need to be braking, less abruptly, or maybe you need to be washing your hands more and eating healthier and exercising. There's always something to learn, and it doesn't benefit you to be blaming others, because then you're putting the power for your life and your circumstances in their hands. It's up to them whether you can live a successful life, or it's up to them whether you can succeed, because it's their fault that you're not succeeding, if you get the general idea. But when you put it in your own hands and you say, well, actually it's my fault I'm not succeeding, well, then that empowers you to go out and succeed, because you are the one that gets to determine that outcome. It's a really great book and definitely something I recommend. It was written by former Navy SEALs, and there's a lot of stories in the book about them going through training and some of the things that they experienced during wartime. And so it's really, really interesting book and a great, one to start reading. Number 7 is Never Split the Difference. This was written by a former FBI hostage negotiator, and this is just a really fun book to listen to in general, because he takes you through these different hostage negotiation scenarios and explains exactly how he worked through them. He points out in the book that in a normal negotiation, you might have two sides that come together and then they make a compromise. Well, in his job or in his situation, he didn't have that luxury or ability. He had to basically go in there and negotiate where he offered them nothing in exchange for them giving up everything. So he walks through exactly how he was able to do that. And he talks about how life is in general one big negotiation, and that when you understand how the negotiation works, when you understand how people works, it's actually really easy to negotiate through these various different situations. I found that this book's really, really helpful for a lot of different things in life, and it's definitely something you want to add to your skill set. Number 8 is a book called Contagious, and it's all about why some things go viral while others don't go viral. And this was something I read from a marketing perspective, and definitely something that's helped me on YouTube, that's something that's helped me on TikTok, as well as something that's helped me while trying to market my businesses and grow my income during that first year of my journey. The author goes through and talks about why some things are contagious and catch on while others aren't, and he goes through very, specific stories that are really interesting. And it doesn't matter if you're marketing your own business, you're trying to grow a social media following, or maybe you're even trying to find a good investment to invest in. This knowledge will be useful to you just all around the board. Marketing is definitely one of the most useful skill sets you can learn, because it doesn't really matter what you do. Marketing is going to be almost in every situation applicable and helpful to you all around. Number 9 is Cant Hurt Me by David Goggins. And this book was insane, and definitely, for those of you who have kids, or that you mind some pretty extreme language, this book is pretty graphic and has some extreme language in the book, but it's basically just his raw story of him growing up, some of the crazy things he went through as a kid, some of the crazy things he went through as an adult, and how he was basically like an exterminator. He called himself an overweight exterminator. He had this miserable life, and he just decided, I'm gonna become a Navy SEAL. And everyone said he couldn't do it. Everyone said there was no way that he was gonna be able to do this. And it's his entire journey, and it's incredible what he went through, incredible what happened, what he overcame. And I think if you read this book, you will just be pumped, and you'll be inspired, and you'll be like, dang, like David Goggins could do that, then I could deal with this like really normal situation that I'm going through. Or if David Goggins could do that, like it's possible for anyone to do anything. It was a really inspiring book, really intense, and I recommend for that one reading the audiobook version, because in that version, they actually have like sort of like a podcast in between chapters that you don't get with the normal book. And it's really interesting when they go into a little bit more background detail and a little bit more detail about a lot of these different stories. So number 10 is the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And if it wasn't for this book, I would not be where I'm at today. That book made a huge impact on my journey. It was one of the very first books that I read on my journey, and that book convinced me that I needed to dream far bigger than I ever thought possible. It opened up my mind to the possibility that I was actually capable of so much more than I originally thought that I was. And the book's all about coming up with a dream that's so stupid big that you want to wake up every morning excited to go accomplish your dream, because you have this crazy dream. I'm going to become the biggest actor in Hollywood. And people might tell you that's impossible. You can't do that. Like, there's no way. Like, don't you know how many people try and fail? Don't you know how many washed up actors there are? But the reality is, with a lot of dreams that people have, they want these realistic dreams, but they're not dreams that are big enough to motivate them to take massive action, big enough to motivate them to push through all the crazy stuff they're gonna have to deal with along their journey. And his whole point is, come up with a crazy dream. Come up with the biggest dream you have possible. It's something that's gonna get you fired up so you can go out there, you can be passionate, and you can crush through those goals. And that's what I did. I came up with this crazy dream where I was like, I'm gonna make $50 million by the time I'm 35. And that started me thinking big. It started me aiming big for these big things. Before that, I was thinking I'm gonna make $150,000 a year, and now I'm capping out at that. At the time I read the book, I was making around $120,000 a year. So my realistic big thinking was $150,000, maybe $200,000 later down the line. And I went from that, like, no, I'm gonna make $50 million by the time I'm 35. I'm gonna have this big social media following. I'm gonna do all these crazy things. And I mean, I believed it. Grant Cardone got me to believe it. It's another one I listened to, the audiobook where he talks, he kind of goes off script during a lot of the book. And the second big concept in the book is about taking massive action towards your goals, that you gotta be actually taking these massive steps towards your goals and doing these crazy things to actually get there. You can't just have a big dream, but you gotta take massive action towards your dream. And a lot of people think they're taking massive action. They're doing all these things and tasks, but really they're just procrastinating. They're not actually taking any sort of risky action towards their goal. They're like coming up with lists, and they're doing these things that make them feel like they're working hard, that make them, look like they're working hard. But in reality, they're not doing the hard things, the things that are gonna cut to the core and actually move them forward towards their goals. This is a book that'll inspire you and help you believe that you're capable of doing so much more than you ever thought possible. I hope you definitely check this out, and I hope you check out all these books on this list, because again, all these books, they were in no particular order. These are all amazing books and really were really helpful along my journey. And I hope they'll be just as helpful, for whatever you're trying to accomplish and whatever you're trying to conquer. I've talked about before that the easiest way to actually read these books, because it's really hard to sometimes sit down and read a book. A lot of people don't maybe have the time to do that, is to get like something like Audible, or there's even free things like Libby, where you can download audio versions of the books and listen to them while you're driving. You can listen to them while you're working out, while you're mowing the lawn, while you're doing the dishes, while you're cooking dinner, whatever you're doing, you can listen to them and kind of double up tasks, which makes it really easy to consume a ridiculous amount of books. And again, I swear, you're gonna get so much stuff from these books. You're gonna be thanking me later saying, Jesse, I listened to these books. They were so helpful, and now I am doing things I never thought possible. If this video is helpful, make sure to hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, or want to just say hi, let me know in the comments below. I try to go through and answer every single comment that I can. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and you got to hit the little bell next to it if you want to actually be notified when I release new videos. If you don't hit the little bell, you won't actually ever be notified when I release videos. So if you care to be notified, hit the bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.